Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday and Happy New Year. I think this is the first time we are connecting together since the new year has turned new. So I am so excited to be back with you all. My name is Ale Zozos. I'm EatLove Dietitian and do our monthly YouFit times EatLove nutrition webinars. And today we are talking about healthy basics for 2024. So what do we need this year and every year? For most parts, do we need to make positive changes forward on our health and nutrition? So we're going to talk all about that today. And then, as always, I'm going to reserve some time to go through YouFit's in-house nutrition program, and that is Eat Love, and how you guys can get started and signed up for that. So let's dive in there. If we have a couple more join, I may do some polls in a bit, but I do want to talk about our nutrition basics for the new year. So let's dive in. We are going to review fundamentals of balanced nutrition, learn how to decode food labels, which is one of my personal favorite topics, learn how to stay on track with healthy meal planning and preparation, which EatLove will absolutely be able to help you with. And then, of course, learn about your in-house nutrition program. So fundamentals of balanced nutrition. And this plate on the left-hand side, and we have some really fun graphics for you today as well, will show a really good case of how to do this. So we have our protein, we have this little white looking swirly thing that I'm going to call mashed potatoes, and then we have some vegetables and we have some fruit. So we're really balancing out that plate to make sure that all of our macros and micros, our other nutrients like hydration and fiber, are present at every single meal. So balanced nutrition is the key to maintaining that good health and providing the body with necessary nutrients it needs for optimal functioning. So a couple other those things are going to be the variety of your food, going to help the gut overall. So we want to make sure that we're getting good variety. But we do want to eat things in moderation. We don't have to avoid anything from our diets if we understand this moderation and eating to our hunger and satiety cues and allowing all foods to fit in a balanced diet. This also includes eating regular meals. If we are not eating on a schedule or are we waiting too long in between our meals, we're most likely going to be in less control of our food choices overall, whether it's just the tenacity of us to get something quickly because we're so hungry, or you're just, I have only something in front of me, I'm going to grab it because I haven't eaten for hours. You want to make sure that you're eating regularly so you have more control over that. And then, of course, healthy cooking methods. So we'll talk a little bit about each of these today. So let's dive into our macronutrients, or macros, as they are commonly referred to. These are our carbohydrates, protein, and fat. So carbs are our main body's source of energy. They are broken down into glucose, which is a form of sugar, and is used by our cells for fuel. So this is where you'll see, endurance runners or anyone saying like, I'm carb loading for my race, is because when you are running and in specific distances, carbs are going to be your main source of energy. So you want to make sure that you have a really good pool within your body so that it can pull from, to make sure that you get across the finish line and exceed the goals that you are looking for, just from an athletic perspective or from a physical wellness point as well. Next, we're going to have protein. This is crucial for the structure and function and regulation of our body's tissues and organs. They are made up of amino acids, which are the building blocks of the body. So you may hear a lot about this when we are post-workout, post-lifting weights. We want to get an ample amount of protein in our body so that we don't start to pull from our current body tissue and muscle mass as fuel for our body. We don't want that. We want to get new sources that we've ingested in that day so that we can support that, and that actually supports the growth overall. And then we have fat. So this is important for energy source that plays a role in various bodily functions like cell structure, hormone production, and nutrition absorption, especially with our fat-soluble vitamins, our A, D, E, and K. There are different types of fats, including our saturated fats, that are coming mostly from animal sources, so like animal proteins, animal fats, as well as our unsaturated, which are grouped into monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats. Trans fats is also a very small subset that got very popular in the 90s for being pretty much man-made. There are some trace trans fats in some popular food products that we would eat today that are naturally in there in safe amounts that we do not have to worry about. But our main categories are going to be that saturated fat and our unsaturated fat broken into those two categories. Donna, that's a great question. Thank you so much for having a question. So avocado oil or olive oil, which is the best, and are they okay? I really think it depends on the goals and what you are looking to achieve overall. If we're talking from a specific purely polyphenol content, which is an antioxidant compound that helps with reducing inflammation in our bodies. Avocado, just the source of avocado, is a great anti-inflammatory food. But if we're looking at the breakdown of how much polyphenol content is present between the two of those, olive oil is the highest, not by a lot, so that you really can't go wrong. So whichever one you prefer. I tend to really enjoy olive oil a lot, and I really do enjoy that the content is just slightly higher. So I do tend to lean towards that one, but avocado oil, it can be more stable at higher heat sources as well, but doesn't mean that you're going to be if you use olive oil at higher heat sources, doesn't mean it's going to be dangerous for your intake either. You can still absolutely use olive oil. I use it for pan frying. I use it for lightly other frying cooking methods as well. So, it's all right that way. It really depends on what your taste preferences are and if you're looking for a higher polyphenol content. Now, our micronutrients, I gather this page is just a little bit small, so I want to highlight each one of these line by line, is that our micronutrients are essential nutrients that our body requires in smaller amounts. So you may have had like a macro breakdown and you're like, I have to get X amount of percent of carbs, protein, and fat that make up 100% of our daily needs. So just an example breakdown would be like 45% carbs, 25% protein, and whatever the remainder of that is for fats. Now we need that in bulk. Now for our vitamins and our minerals, we need them in smaller quantities. They're in milligrams or IUs or other types of unit of measurements, but they're in much, much smaller quantities. Tend to go unnoticed sometimes because, we kind of forget about that from time to time, but they are equally vital for maintaining good health and proper function for our body. So let's look at our vitamins first. We have our fat-soluble vitamins, which are vitamin A, E, D, and K. So let's talk about those first. Vitamin A is known for healthy vision and immune function and skin health. So you may hear you want to get a lot of orange-colored foods for our eyesight. So that holds true. Carrots, sweet potatoes, butternut squash are going to have carotenoids, what are going to be the precursor to vitamin A. So that is the color tends to really help us in what's present in that breakdown. Vitamin E is going to act as an antioxidant, so it protects the cells from damage. D is going to be bone health, aids in calcium absorption. So if you are low in, you need to get a bit more calcium, maybe you're looking to strengthen your bones, making sure that you're getting vitamin D with your calcium is going to be a great benefit. And just putting that into food purposes, like an omelet and feta cheese would be a great example of this. So you're going to get vitamin D from your eggs and you are going to get calcium from your cheese. So having them together is going to help that absorption of calcium. And then we have K, which is responsible for blood clotting and bone health. So making sure that function is moving smoothly. With our fat-soluble vitamins, of course, they help to be taken with a fat source. So great question, Donna, very timely. Either avocado or olive oil would be great sources of that to help the digestion of any of these nutrients. Now, our water-soluble vitamins are B and C on this list. So vitamin B complex would include the following: B1 through 12, and it's energy, metabolism, brain function, and the formation of red blood cells. So lots of, I think B vitamins have probably been one of the most trendy vitamins that I've seen this past year from 2023 into 2024, just having a lot of brain health benefits. Lots of hydration benefits as well. If you're curing anything where you were a little bit deficient or dehydrated, vitamin Bs are going to help with that. So a lot of really great things there. And then, of course, vitamin C, which is going to help with immune system, collagen synthesis, and antioxidant protection. You're going to get that from your citruses, your lemons, your limes, your oranges, which is a really helpful benefit to iron, which is on the next on the list. So we have our minerals. Let's start with calcium. So calcium is going to help with bone and teeth health, muscle function, and nerve transmission. Iron is going to help oxygen transport into the blood. However, depending on the source of iron that we get, we want to add a little bit of vitamin C to help with that absorption. So we have two forms of iron. We have heme iron, which is going to be the animal source of iron. So like our salmons, our chickens, our red meats are going to have that type of iron, where our non-heme iron is our plant source of iron. So our leafy greens, our spinach, and incorporating a vitamin C source, most likely in my case, it's going to be lemon juice, with that type of green is going to help that iron, that plant-based iron, be absorbed a little bit more readily. And what I love to do there is just make a nice big dark green leafy green salad and make my own homemade dressing with olive oil and lemon juice. And it's a great combination. And I know that my body is going to be absorbing exactly what it needs to get out of that meal. Magnesium is going to help muscle and nerve function, bone health, and energy production. Zinc is going to be also known for immune function, wound healing, and DNA synthesis. Iodine is the thyroid function and hormone production. Selenium acts as an antioxidant that supports the immune system. So basically, when we're looking, especially at the vitamins and some of these minerals like the magnesium and even selenium, we're going to get a lot of those from plant sources. We're going to get a lot of those from fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, beans, legumes, and then we can turn to the calcium, the irons, and some of the others for like our dairy products and things like that. And that's really going to balance out that plate to be quite well-rounded. But we can't really skip over dietary fiber and hydration. So fiber is going to promote digestive health, helps maintain healthy weight, stabilize blood sugars, helps keep bowel movements frequent at the same time. And it's going to do a lot of good for health conditions that you may be currently managing, or conditions that you are looking to keep at bay, that you never have a diagnosis of them. So what I mean by keeping blood sugars at bay, if we are eating a diet high in carbohydrates with little dietary fiber, it's more likely to develop into something more serious. When we do have dietary fiber, we're able to slow down that digestion process, so our blood sugars maintain at a normal rate and they fluctuate in the appropriate ranges that would be supportive of keeping those blood sugars at bay. What also is really great about dietary fiber is that it also helps lower cholesterol. If you are battling or managing high cholesterol, getting more dietary fiber in your diet, which yes, you can from fruits and vegetables, and also beans and legumes, it's going to be really good sources of dietary fiber. Hydration is going to be crucial for digestion. You really can't have one without the other. You want to make sure that you're properly hydrated while you're in taking in that fiber piece of it. It's going to be crucial for nutrient absorption and overall bodily functions. So limiting your sugary drinks and excessive caffeine intake can help you stay hydrated longer. Some ways, if you are looking to reduce just sugary drinks in general, I love the option of seltzer and the unique things that you can add to seltzers to make them very tasty. Even if you make it at home and you add a little bit of your own honey that you've made, honey. And then you can add sweet fruit to sweeten the beverage at all if you would like to. And that will give you a nice little drink at home. And it's going to be a lot less sugary than the one that you grab off the shelf. So let's talk about variety and moderation. So aiming for diverse and a colorful diet. Different foods provide different nutrients. All of these nutrients back here that we are looking to get is going to come from food variety. You don't want to eat the same plate every single day. You don't want to eat the same fruits and vegetables every single day. You want to get a variety. You want to increase that spectrum and get as much as possible because it's going to give you the nutrients that you need, both essential nutrients and your macronutrients. Looking at it in moderation, of course, we never want to limit anything. We never want to avoid anything, because avoiding things only makes us want it more. We feel really guilty when we haven't. It just creates this whole binge, guilt, restrict cycle that we don't want to be on. 2024 is the year to let fad diets and restrictive eating habits in the past. So allow yourself to enjoy your treat, indulge in those foods in moderation, and avoid any extremes in any particular food group. So if you're like, I need to eliminate or avoid carbs, or for whatever reason, there's always a better way. And we're going to be able to show you how to do that in Eat Love today as well. Aim for regular meals. So regular meals and balanced meals throughout the day help provide a steady supply of nutrients and energy. So skipping meals, like I mentioned earlier, can lead to overeating later in the day. So think of a scale of 1 to 10, where this is our hunger scale. And I talk about the scale a lot because it really puts it into perspective of how we're doing when we are eating. And you want to live in a range of a 3 to 7 on the hunger fullness scale. If you wait until you are a 1, like I am super hungry, I could eat anything in sight right now, that would be a 1. You are most likely to end up at a 10 on the scale. And that creates this infrequency of meals where we're not really sure when we're getting our next meal, and that doesn't help with our body's signals and hormones of how to keep everything regulated and maintained, because we may be living in scarcity. We may not, when am I getting my next meal? Your body's going to hold on to things, makes achieving your goals for anything exceedingly more difficult. So what you want to do is live in that 3 to 7 range, where you say, I'm going to be a 3 on the scale, which is, I have signs of hunger. I could wait another 20 or minutes or so, but that's about it. And then you want to eat until, a 6 on that scale. You never want to be too hungry or too full, is really the message at the end of the day. So for your meals, for dinner tonight, or your next snack, or your next eating opportunity, try the scale. What are you before you eat? What are you after the eat? And what would you rank those? Knowing that 1 is going to be overly hungry. I could eat anything in sight. And 10, let's just call it past Thanksgiving full. The last one is going to be healthy cooking methods. So choosing healthy cooking methods such as baking or grilling. Steaming is not going to use any fat. It's just a water method. Sauteing over frying. So you can do like a light saute, just a little bit of oil in your pan rather than, an inch or 2 of oil in your pan. It's going to help cut down on some of the added fats. And yes, of course, you can use better sources of oil for that. But if we don't need it, it's, fat is a very dense macronutrient. It's about 9 calories per gram. So we don't need as much of it. It keeps us full for very long. So our cooking method can absolutely play into getting too much of a certain macronutrient like fat in our diets, and we can use a little bit of it and it goes a long way. So decoding the food label, looking at this, and this is the newer food label. I believe this came out, it might have even been 2 years ago at this point. So a lot of things have been highlighted and maximized for your viewing, just to kind of call out the changes. So if we look over here under serving size, we can see that 2/3 cups, 55 grams, is a serving size. And this particular item, whatever it is, has 8 servings per container. So if we look at our container and we mentally break it up into 8, that is what one of those 8ths is going to be, what this makes up and what this label represents. So 1/8 of that entire bag is going to say that this is 230 calories, 8 grams of total fat, 160 milligrams of sodium, and so on. So what some of these, you want to examine your macronutrients. You're going to see these here, and you're always going to have a % daily value for most things except for protein, because that is going to vary based on the individual for the most part, for a lot of different reasons. So that is usually the only item over here that does not have a % of your daily value. But you do want to look out for the less desirable nutrients, is what I call them. So of course, sodium is essential in our diets for many reasons, but we don't want to exceed, too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing anymore. So looking at your sodium, your added sugars, your saturated fat content, utilizing these % daily values can be really helpful to identify the quality of that particular item or, food that you're getting out of this particular package based on those nutrients. So I can see that I have 5% saturated fat. There's 1 gram per 8 grams of total fat in here. I can see that this has 10 grams of added sugar, which is 20% of my daily value. So a rule of thumb for this is to use the 5 to 20 rule. You want things to be 5% or less to be considered a good source of a particular less desirable nutrient. So saturated fat, we're at 5%. This is a good product if you want to keep your saturated fat low. However, if we look at added sugars, we can see that it's the very top of that spectrum, that 20%. So we know that this is a very high food for added sugars. Doesn't mean we can't have it. It's the more you know, knowledge is power. I will always say that. How do I make it fit into my plan is really the take-home message here. The other one being sodium. So our sodium is 7%. So this is not, this isn't too bad. I'd say this is okay. Sodium, 8% or less is going to be okay. And then skim through the ingredient list. This is going to be underneath your label. Can you look for recognizable items? Now, I wouldn't say that this is the only thing to look for. There's a lot of things on the list that are in their natural forms that I may not even recognize the name of, or it's a very complicated name. So that doesn't mean that you should only eat things of instruction or ingredient lists that you only recognize. I would say that that's going to be pretty rare. But just be cautious of additives and preservatives and artificial sweeteners that could exist on the list and where they are in that order. It's going to be in order of appearance, like a cast. So you want to say like, oh, whole grains is listed first. This is a whole grain source of bread. If it says wheat first and then maybe whole grain is fourth or fifth on the list, we can say that this is not a 100% whole grain product because the whole grain would have been listed first. So that is helpful when you are looking at those particular labels and what quantities that you want to stay within. So looking at our meal and preparation. So I'm going to talk about this more in Eat Love when I flip over to the demo. But first and foremost, you want to assess your schedule. Consider the week ahead, noting your busy days and when you may need to make a quick, easy meal. So a pro tip that we have is that you can use Eat Love as a planner. So you can move your dates around, you can reschedule, you can bring your meals back into play if you're like, things change and I'm back in town now and I can eat what I had planned. Eat Love makes it very easy to adapt on the fly that suits your schedule. This is a dynamic meal feed with recommendations that you can engage with as much or as little as you want to, but it is not static at its very core. It is a dynamic and flexible feed for you to move with your lifestyle. Set your goals, define what your nutritional goals are, pick a plan that is going to support that. If you want to get more veggies, there's a get more veggies template. If you want to have better endurance or support your training goals for your long runs, there's an endurance plan, there's a strength training plan, there's a whole bunch of different options that you can choose from and kind of rotate through to find what is going to be most supportive of the majority of your goals. Create a weekly meal plan to plan ahead, ensure that you have balance of proteins, vegetables, carbs, and your micronutrients. Now, if you're utilizing Eat Love's recommendations, you don't have to worry about this a whole lot because it already matches your nutrition profile that you've set up on that balance of macros and micros. But you can also use smart swaps to find an alternative that still matches your nutrition limits. Prep your ingredients. There's also like a little prep schedule that will come through and have you like dice your vegetables or, move your frozen fish to the fridge so it can thaw out with enough time to prepare your meal. But dedicate a time to wash and chop your veggies, prepare proteins in advance. Considering marinating your proteins overnight is going to have a little bit more flavor. And then you can easily assemble for batch cooking. Pack smartly, so package meals in individual containers to control your portion sizes. So that makes it really easy for grab and go things. Like if you wanted to make an overnight oatmeal for the week and you packaged everything out like a half cup to a whole cup of oats in each jar. You have a teaspoon of honey for each jar. You have a cup of berries for each jar. You know what's in it and you can grab and go and you don't have to worry about it in the time. And then reflect and adapt. What can you grow on? Where can you refine your process for future meal benefits? And just a note here is that your magic number of meals to plan for the week is your magic number. It's not mine. It's not anyone else's watching. It is what you need to feel successful and that you have a routine. I can say my magic number is about 4 a week. That's 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, and 2 dinners with some leftovers. And I know that I can be successful with that because I'm only asking myself to cook twice a week. My breakfast and lunch are usually throw together meals on the fly. And there's a lot of meals in here. If that sounds something similar to what you experience on a daily basis, is that you're just busy, you want something that is going to check all the boxes, but not be overly complicated. So I am going to flip over, see if we have any questions on the topic today, and then I'm going to flip over to the Eat Love side over here and just talk a little bit about the meal feed and how you get here. So first and foremost, everyone that has a Premium Plus membership has access to Eat Love. You would have, if you've upgraded recently, you would have received an invite to create your profile. If you have a free basic plan or a premium plan, or you're prospective and you're looking to join the gym, you do not have access to Eat Love quite yet, but a Premium Plus membership will give you that access to engage with the meal recommendations, create your own personal profile. So clicking over here in my nutrition prescription, I can select any one of these goals when I get started. And it's going to give you options like general healthy diet. It's going to give you options like weight management, high cholesterol, hypertension, diabetes, bone health, anti-inflammatory. So lots of really interesting things that you can select as a baseline. And then you can fill out your information in here to get a breakdown. And then every one of you is going to get your own personal nutrition profile for your macros and micronutrients and other things. So we highlighted saturated fat, sodium, and added sugar today that we don't want to exceed certain numbers. So you don't have to worry about that. If you're utilizing the recommendations that Eat Love is giving you at a complete picture, you're going to hit your targets every single day if you're following it to a T. Now you can, of course, swap the meals. That's also what I mean by following to a T, not just the actual recommended meals, but then you're going to be within your range for calories and your macros, and you're going to have minimums for the more desirable things like your fruits and vegetable servings and your fiber. So this is what it would look like when you open up that plan, and you can see very much looks like Spotify for like meals rather than music. But since we're on the desktop, I do want to show you the added piece over here. And this is your meal planner. You can play around with these recommendations as you want to. So if you want something different for breakfast, you can choose a smart choice. The smart choices are going to be your ticket to staying within your nutrition goals. And it will tell you right here that everything matches your nutrition prescription if you choose it from this swap option. So let's say you want to do that overnight oats for the week, and you actually want to repeat that meal and do it a couple of days for breakfast. You can absolutely do that. And there I have breakfast is pretty much done. That's what I mean by one breakfast a week, one lunch, and a couple dinners. You'll notice I have a Chick-fil-A meal scheduled in here for dinner, which is really easy to do from the smart choices under restaurant meals. And you'll see a whole bunch of options. There's over 150 popular national chains in here. So if you want to eat something at Chick-fil-A, what can I eat that matches my nutrition profile? My recommendations are going to be different than Donna's, and they're going to be different from all of yours watching as well, because it's going to take your nutrition prescription and profile and apply it to that menu so that you can stay within your needs. I'm always saying that something is better than nothing. So this is a way that you can make something work while you're on the go, because again, we know that lifestyles are not static. They're constantly changing. Your day may change 4 or 5 times, and that makes it very difficult to stick to a meal plan if you're not going to be where you were originally supposed to be to eat that meal. Makes it very easy to adapt on the fly, where there's really no one right answer. There's multiples that will fit within your targets. And then if I wanted to add something else here, I could. So let's add a couple meals to my grocery cart, because we don't end there. You can actually get a grocery list. You can check off things that you already have. And you can also buy online through one of our third-party integrations and actually save yourself about 90 minutes a week. So if you're saying, I don't have time to cook, delegate where you can. And that can include outsourcing and having your groceries delivered to your door, which I do every single week. And I have for about the last 10 years, and it's wonderful. Additionally, we also have a daily log that you can one-click log your food. We also have a barcode scanner that you can scan for something in our database. We have about 400,000 branded items. And if it doesn't connect to something, that's okay. We also have an AI label reader where you can just add a custom food with a picture of a nutrition facts label. Either take it from the label or screenshot one online and drag and drop it right in here. And it will read that information and log it and store it in your favorites. So if it's something that you eat often, it's well worth a couple of seconds to grab that product and add it to your own personal database, because you will get all of this nutrition at the top of how you're doing. And you also have the option to export a nutrition analysis, which will be a button right here to review that in more detail. There's a water tracker, a weight tracker, and a whole bunch of other things to keep you on track throughout your time logging and planning with EatLove. But I wanted to pause there. We have just about a minute left to see if I had any questions from the audience today about getting started, or what your thoughts are, or how your goals are doing this year. So I will pause there and wait for a little bit. There is sometimes a delay with questions and your submissions. Any questions at all? All right. Well, I will let you all go for today. Stay tuned for next month's webinar, which will be in a couple of weeks from now. Same story. We'll do nutrition topic and we'll demonstrate EatLove a little bit. If you have any questions about getting started, head to your front desk. If you have a Premium Plus membership, you already have access to EatLove and you can get started right away. And if you're looking to upgrade, you can do that at your home gym. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Alex. I hope to see you guys soon. Have a good one. Oh, Eldine, you had a question. Can the app be used with other calorie counter apps? So this is our, I'm not sure which apps you're referring to with this particular question, but we manage all of our own data in-house because of the accuracy of our nature. We work with healthcare systems, professional sports teams. So our data has to be very on point. So we're not able to use other crowdsourced information because the data is not accurate. So therefore, we do not work with any other calorie apps except the one that we manage in-house in our app. Skylar, great question. I do have a couple of webinars in the YouFit YouTube channel that will talk about proteins fueling pre-post workouts. Protein's going to be a better option after your workouts for any strength training. Simple carbohydrates before is in lower amounts of fats. If you can tolerate like peanut butter and toast, that's a solid one. Peanut butter being that it's a little bit more fatty, so it may not sit well. But like handful of cereal is a lot of the times my go-to because it's readily available and it's a simple, even like a apple. So anything more simple carbohydrate focus is going to be really great for pre-workouts, and then a mix of that with proteins and carbohydrates, and as much as you can tolerate fat post will be workouts for after. But I hope you all have a really great rest of your week. I will talk to you soon. Bye.